This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. Check.
And boom!
Common man, no show prep, no solid plan. Spins a yarn, begins a tale. The esoteric approach won't fail. Tune in, it's time for Common Man. Common man, charms the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Oh, boy. Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello?
Time is running out on Dan Cole's ground. Let's go to 15. Bob?
Yeah, John Cole has been visibly angry. He's been talking to himself quite a bit. And it doesn't get any easier here on the par 3 15th hole at Minnesota National. This hole is guarded by two bunkers with a big tree in front of the green. Very challenging tee shot. He's opted to hit a 5-iron here. Cole, unreal pants, fluttering in the wind, mumbling to himself, I've got to have this shot. Hootie-hoo! Ooh, that's very well struck. Spinning through the air like a J.J. McCarthy pass. It's right on line. Looking good. Oh, my! It's in! I can't believe what I just saw. A hole-in-one for Cole at the 15th, and he's pointing at patrons in the gallery shouting, you doubted me, you doubted me, you doubted me, and now he's embracing his son, Peter. What a moment between father and son here at the 15th at Minnesota National.
I always love that one.
Who's that? Who's there?
Cinderella, that's it. Give me a piece. That's the only thing. Give me a piece. What if it were you? And we were going to school. And if it were you and back then we didn't see it all. Now what do you think? What do you think of that?
Brilliant! You know, sometimes when you practice, you'll set up chairs. You know, and you run through chairs just to show zones and stuff. The Viking defense looks like it's chairs.
I'm confident that we'll be world champions. Now, that's what I've said right from the start, and I'm still confident of that.
You like that? You like that?
I'm a fraud.
Yes.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north.
That's not true.
This is the common man, Dan Cole.
Well, greetings, good afternoon, and ack to you and yours. I'm Dan Cole, the common man. This is my La Brea Tar Pit. You see, I'm a radio dinosaur. One of these days, in the not-too-distant future, archaeologists and paleontologists will be sifting through the rubble that is 1600 Utica Avenue South. They'll stumble across my skeletal remains and my cold, dead, rigor mortis-laden lips attached to this AKG microphone. You gotta yell, man. Huh? And they'll say, well, it's a social commentator with an archaic communication device. We're here until 3, we being myself, and Tenna B. There is so much to get to today. The Wild and the Wolves both go at it tonight in a programming predicament. The Twins try to right their ship. They'll be taking on the Chicago White Sox, and we are just 54 hours, 23 seconds, and 13 minutes away from the National Football League draft. Where do we start? I'm not sure. Let's spin the wheel of topic. I wanted to land on the Twins.
Commons golf game.
I don't mind talking about it.
What'd you shoot today?
I shot an 82.
Where'd we play?
Prestwick at Wedgwood and Woodbury.
Where'd you hit it on? One?
Right at the gut, split the middle of the fairway. I had a 7-iron in my hand.
Second shot?
Hit it pin high, or just past pin high, about 30 feet.
Then what?
2-putted for par.
Incredible.
I made 6 pars to start the round, including a nifty little up and down out of the green side bunker on number 6. Tennessee, you're familiar with number 6, the par 3.
Yeah.
I cut it into that bunker, but hit a marvelous little bunker shot, about 4 feet, made it, and then all of a sudden, bogey. You know, number 8, the par 4, the short par 4 up on top. I'm standing up there, and I could almost throw a ball over the water, right? But for some reason, I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to play a little right and try to hit a draw. I want to be careful here. I bust it perfectly straight. It goes through the fairway, through the rough, over the cart path, through the rough, and it falls down. You probably don't even know this. There's a pond way right and over the cart path on the right side.
How do I not know where that is if it's way right?
Well, that's it. It's sitting about 1/8 covered with water right on the bottom because it's right. It's in the hazard. I decided to play it, and I hit an okay shot. But my problem was I didn't take the time to really aim it properly. So all I did was hit it into the bunker instead of playing left of the bunkers. I knocked it into the bunkers, made a double bogey, bitter, but I hung tough, parred 9, and then I just played sloppy golf on the backside. So not my best, but all that matters is tomorrow, you and me and a third player tomorrow morning over at
is it Tibida?
It's Tibida. And then what really all that matters to me is Friday morning, 8:00 at Deacon's Lodge. That's what's and I'm going to be playing the Pines, the Preserve, and so many other golf courses up in the Brainerd Lakes area. This is a
well, we're happy for you.
I thought, well, you're going to be at Bandon Dunes next week. What days are you gone next week?
I'll be gone Thursday, Friday next week, and then the following Monday after that.
Okay, well, we'll miss you. We'll really miss you. This is a first for the Common Man program. It might be a first for the radio station. I'm not broadcasting in Studio A. I'm in the old Score studio, or Production Studio 1 is what I like to call it, which is directly across from Studio A. I can see them working in Studio A. They're doing I think they're calling it a rewrap, Tennessee, where they're putting up new signage and logos, and they try to make it, spruce it up a little bit, especially when the morning show, I think, don't they stream video of their final hour every day now?
They do, yes. They've done that for a while.
Okay, and so they do that, and so and then we video stream Program Password. So we want to gussy it up a little bit, apparently. So that's what we're doing. And we had thought it, Abbott had asked me, he said, if there's anybody at the radio station that could continue to do the things he used to do that made him good, that wouldn't be distracted and might even be able to make a bit out of it while they do the work in there, it would be you. But then he said today, throwing you a curveball, I don't want you doing the first hour in there because it's much more labor intensive than he thought, and I think he's correct.
Now that I see what they're doing, I don't think it would have been good having him there.
Well, because he's going to be working right directly behind where I'd be sitting, and that just isn't going to work.
They're making noise.
Yeah, it would have been a nice bit. It would have been kind of fun, but we're not going to do that. So I'm going to be here at least for an hour. It might be. I don't think it'll be the whole show, but I was told they'd be able to wrap up their work in about an hour.
I tell you though, when it comes to contractors, even though they say an hour, it never goes an hour. It's always an hour and a half, 1:45. Yeah. So I would plan on it being late.
Well, we'll see. I'm going to hold them to their word, at least for now, but you're right. It might end up being where it doesn't work out that way. Can you tell the difference in this AKG compared with the other microphone?
It actually sounds really nice.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of early on in the COVID days when all of a sudden you had to broadcast from home. So you and I were in two different studios. We couldn't really see each other while we were doing the show. And it goes to show you, because they made us come back to the studio because they feel like there's a special chemistry.
Right.
I feel like if we can put together a good hour today, that maybe they'll let us do this moving forward. We just broadcast from our own homes.
I would not mind broadcasting from my own. Though I will say this, I don't mind getting out of home and coming into the radio station. And here's the other thing. I wouldn't want to deny everybody here free show. The salespeople and you and Swedberg and Abbott and Lil B, you guys always enjoy my nonstop nonsense. tomfoolery and skullduggery that I bring to the radio station every day. So I wouldn't want to deprive you guys of that. So even if they said I could do my show from home, I would still want to come in and see all of you face to face. And I think everybody appreciates that. This is not the Electro Voice RE27. I can tell you that, but it will suffice. It's going to have to, because this is where we've been, where we're going, and where we're at. We do have a programming predicament for tonight. Tend to be 2 late starts. And I know you're very bitter about the hockey start.
Yes.
You're wearing, matter of fact, right now you're wearing your grubby little hockey gloves. You're a part of the hockey community. A 10 o'clock start. And do you think that means 10:20 before they drop the first puck?
I thought I got word that it was going to be 10:15 will be puck drop tonight.
Okay.
You've got to be kidding me.
With an early round of golf scheduled,
Yes.
Where's your loyalty going to be? To the tee box or to the Wild? Are you going to watch the whole game and then try to just get a cat nap and then show up at the golf course? Or what are you going to do? Do you know yet?
So my first thought was, maybe I will just try to go to bed early, wake up early and watch it on DVR. So at least I'm saving,
right,
45 minutes of not watching through intermission and commercial stuff, and try to save some time on that end. But the other part is the Wolves play at 9. So if I did that, then I wouldn't be able to watch any of the Wolves. So I think I might just
suck it up.
Small amount of sleep tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will watch the game. But hopefully no overtime.
Somebody recommended at the Bradshaw and Bryant text line at 64686. I'm not staring at it. Is it 64686?
Yes.
Even though I've said it hundreds of times, if I'm not staring at it on the whiteboard, I don't know if I got it right. Someone suggested, you get done at 3. Do you have to pick up the kids after work?
Yes.
Okay, what time will you get back to your house today after you're done working and picking up the kids?
Usually
roughly?
4. Well, I pick up my daughter.
Okay.
And then the kids got to get off the bus. So I got to get home before 4:20 when they get off the bus.
Then they come in.
Yeah.
You go to bed at 5 o'clock. You sleep until 9:30. Then you get up, watch a game, and go back. So you do a split shift with your sleeping.
One problem with that.
Then that problem would be?
We literally have 3 kids' activities all at 5 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, I guess there goes that.
2 of them have baseball practices, and one of them has to go to a kindergarten open house.
Ask me if I'll
They're
help.
all at 5.
Ask me if I'll help.
Would you mind helping? We could use if you could help.
Oh, you know what? It's really a bad break for me. I got a lot of yard work to do, and the neighbors want me to help them with a couple of things. So I'm really sorry about that. I'm not going to be able to do that.
Yes, that's not going to work.
You're the one that wanted to be a dad. Hope you're happy. Let's do this.
I'm not the first one to have kids, right?
No, you're not the first. You might be the first bridge producer to have kids, but you're not the first producer to have kids. Let's pause. Controversial Vikings news on the other side of the break as we approach the draft. But right now, we've got bonus bucks.
Bonus bucks. Yeah, the fan and BigDeck.com wants to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword fun at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. The keyword is fun. Enter now at KFAN.com.
KFAN.
Hey, we got a beauty for you right now, Wild fans. You could win a pair of sweet tickets for Game 3 on Thursday night against Vegas. To enter, send us a talkback on the iHeartRadio app and predict who scores first for your Wild tonight. Winner will be randomly selected from the correct answers. Good luck and go Wild.
Should mention that those tickets were provided by TI. They offered them up to me, and I said I'd rather give them to the listeners. It's the kind of guy I am. Trying to be that I give and give and give till I'm about to give out. So that'll be fun, and we'll pick a winner a little bit later on. Time now for Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric. Affordable Electric. They provide everything from whole house electrical safety inspections to 24-hour emergency electrical repairs, lighting, outlet and appliance work, rewiring for any room on your property. And Affordable Electric is your old home specialist. Affordable-electric.com for more information or to have them come on over to your place. Affordable-electric.com. Affordable Electric is... I can't hear.
I don't know if your button bar is going to work over there.
Oh, well, I triggered it and it said it was working. Look at Yeah, it doesn't. There we go. This is shockingly affordable. This has nothing to do with the draft. This is under the category of you learn something new every day. There was a story, Fish Wrap Factory West Side, done by Jake Epstein and Emily, and I should probably find out how to say her last name. She joined the Fish Wrap Factory West Side last year during the football season, I think. It's Leiker, so I don't know if it's Leaker or Liker, but Emily and Jake did this piece on Aaron Jones, Vikings running back. Headline tend to be, Aaron Jones is feeling comfortable with his age in the Vikings facility. He's 30 years old, entering his 9th NFL season. He says tend to be he feels the best he ever has from a physical standpoint. Here's the quote. Whoever came up with age, I feel like that's just a number. I've been saying that since I was a little kid, trying to get older women. He's like the Radio Romeo. I didn't realize he was the equivalent of the Radio Romeo on the football field. I wonder what kind of a success rate he had with the older women. I mean, it doesn't. I don't think it goes back to that anywhere in the story. He says, and he likes being at Winter Park. He says it was a no-brainer to re-sign. He says, when I first came in, this place felt like home. Throughout the year, seeing how I was used in the system, the culture that's been established here, the support system, everything. This is where I wanted to end up, and I'm glad we were able to get it done. Generally tend to be, we've talked about this. The running back position is one of those that's, at least up until, I think just last year, actually, when Saquon kind of, the last couple of years, where it seems like the running back position has become more in vogue. We talked about it forever with everybody wanting to pass the ball gently down the field. It seemed like the running back position was almost forgotten. It was like, well, we got to give it, we got to keep them all honest, so we'll hand it off a couple of times. And these running backs, because of the punishment that they take, literally, if you're drafted, you play through your rookie contract, and it's see you later. You've outlived your usefulness, because without a lot of emphasis on the running game, I think teams just felt like they could slide anybody into that slot, get them the kind of yards they needed on a rookie contract, and then when that rookie contract expired, when they're looking for a big raise, you just tell them no thanks and you move to the next guy. And most of these players, and I think tend to be it was the norm where guys would get beat down, that they just don't have as much mileage in them anymore. I do feel it's rather surprising that Jones is still, he had his best season statistically last year at 29 years of age. It says,
he was always kind of they always did the committee thing in Green Bay. He seemed to be 1A to the 1B, but he's never gotten just a full-on workload.
Here's what it says. It says, Jones, who logged the 4th 1,000-yard rushing season of his NFL career, credited his recovery routine as a fundamental aspect of his long-term sustainability. He called his day-to-day recovery a constant grind. In the Vikings facility last season, Jones first stepped into a hyperbaric chamber. He said a combination of hyperbaric chambers and conventional cold and hot tubs have done wonders for his recovery. He said, I have soft tissue guys come into the house when I'm not here. It's a lot of trial and error because of what works for somebody may not work for the next guy. And it is, and I don't, a lot of times tend to be in sports is your whole life just sports. I think guys say things to almost just try to convince themselves of things, right? But I tend to believe that he does really believe age is just a number, because with this hyperbaric chamber stuff, with the soft tissue specialists, and with as much work he got last year, and to be as pretty much as healthy as he was, and if he claims he feels better than he ever has, maybe some guys are just able to, I think it's few and far between running backs that can sustain themselves for long periods of time. It looks like they might have that kind of a guy.
Yeah, and historically throughout his career, he's not only been part of a committee, but has never been really fully healthy, right? I mean, last year was only the second time he's played in all 17 games. Now, there was moments that seemed through multiple games where he seemed to leave the game for a section of period of time for whatever reasons. But I mean, you do wonder if how the NFL now views running backs after this past season. Because it seemed like going into just in 1 year, it seems like this has changed where running backs weren't getting drafted in the first round anymore. Whereas, you go back to the 90s, that was like the position, right? You had to get a running back early. They weren't paying these guys anymore. I mean, Saquon Barkley, he finally got paid after this last season. But he didn't get a huge amount in free agency last year compared to what running backs used to make. So I do wonder if Saquon, especially the way he performed and said, well, here's a guy who's still very, very important to an offense and can be a game changer. And I do wonder now if this position is going to start getting some respect again. Yeah,
well, and Derrick Henry's always kind of been that guy, and he was again last year. And I also think in Detroit, when they had Sluggo and
Sonic and
Bust.
Knuckles.
Sonic and Knuckles, they really played off each other really well. I would say the Lions' running game with the two combined is as good as anything in the league. I mean, they were really good last year. And so I do think teams are starting to appreciate the running back position more. And,
well, and you look in Detroit and Philadelphia, too. Detroit, top 5 offensive line.
Yeah.
Green Bay, good offensive line, right? I mean, there were many.
Right.
Who, including myself, Saquon had a history of injuries, wasn't performing in New York, and thought, well, this guy just might be done, right? He'd kind of reached that age. And it goes to show you a little bit of a change of scenery to a much better offense that has offense that, defenses can't just key in on you, and you've got good line play that can spring you open, and man, it's a game changer.
Charge made a deep run into the preposterous statement tournament by saying Saquon was done.
Yes.
He basically, he did what he did with Brady. He said Saquon's done.
He's cooked.
Yeah, he was cooked, and then he named like 3 or 4 other running backs that I'd never heard of before, which isn't proving anything because I'm not paying as close attention to the NFL in general and specifically the running back position as I once did. But he's naming off guys I'd never heard of as better than Saquon, and Saquon wins Offensive Player of the Year. I also think, too, Tim, I think we talked about this, and I think a couple of coaches actually said this, or maybe just a couple of other so-called football experts sort of just came to this conclusion. And that's where if all of these teams are going to pass the ball gently down the field and set up their defense so that, they're able to cover, they're basically looking at pass rushing, and they're looking at guys that can cover people in the secondary and even linebackers that can do that. Well, why don't we go back to running the ball a little bit more, right? Because everybody's expecting us to pass. Let's run it more. And I think it's worked for some of these teams, including Philadelphia. Do you feel like, I would think, and it depends if, Jones stays healthy and if he's able to continue to play as well as he did last year. I think getting the kid from San Francisco could be a big boost.
Yep.
Because what we've had prior to that, we never really got out of it. We had, was it Chandler and then
Ty Chandler?
Yeah,
and Cam Akers. But there was a drop off.
Yes, there was a
when Jones would leave.
That's correct. But I don't know if there will be with the Mason guy. We'll find out. That's Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric, local, family-owned, highly qualified. If you need some electrical work done, go to affordable-electric.com. Affordable-electric.com. And remember, Affordable Electric is shockingly affordable. Short break, a little Distat Lat next on The Fan.
Your home for NFL draft coverage is KFAN. Get live updates and expert analysis leading up to draft day and reactions to all of the action from pick 1 through the 7th round. KFAN is your draft headquarters, presented locally by Heating and Cooling 2. Go to heatcool2.com to book your service today.
Was on the air.
No, it wasn't. That's why I was talking to you off the air.
Easier if he was in this room.
Yeah.
Let me start.
I don't just pot you up without saying hot.
Yeah. Well, you should make me hot right away as soon as you're done reading that vibe, because I got a lot to say and I've only got 3 hours to say it. So I need every precious second. What I wanted to say was, can you turn on ESPN? You already said
I have
you
it
did.
on. Yeah.
Well, I'm just redoing this for the listeners. It's Theater of the Mind. I need you to turn on ESPN, and
Okay.
I need you to look at that clock and tell me how many hours, how many minutes, and how many seconds till the National Football League draft starts.
54 hours, 26 minutes, and 2-1-0. Now 54 hours, 25 minutes, and 57 seconds.
Be still, my bleeding heart, or is it beat still? I think it's be still, my beating heart. I can't believe it. I don't know if I'll be able to, speaking of, getting enough sleep to be able to watch the Wild game tonight, I don't know if I'm going to get any sleep at all between now and the National Football League draft. And think about this. Every single on-air person that works at this radio station, whether it's in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, in the scene, I'm the only one that won't be involved in the coverage on Friday. But I think you would do the same thing I'm doing if it were you, right? If it comes to frequency or fairway, you're doing the fairway, correct?
100%.
So I'll be there. You'll be hosting the show on Friday. Brett Lakeman will be in the chair you're in, and hopefully he'll stay in that chair. We'll have our Mocking the Mock draft on Thursday, 2:00. Listeners, call in starting shortly after noon on Thursday and say, hey, I'd like the 4th pick. I'll make the 16th pick. I'll make the 22nd. I'll do the Vikings pick. We do 32 picks. And then the listeners, we test their creativity because we don't take it serious. And we don't have people calling in and saying, real players, Joe Bag of Donuts, defensive tackle from Arkansas. We don't want any of that. We like, Paul Allen or whatever the case, whatever, maybe people that are in the news right now or just former players, whatever. Use your imagination. And we'll start all of that on Thursday at 2:00.
Unless you're Warren from St. Paul. We want his insight.
That is correct. Now, Tennessee, what we've decided to do, I was talking to the program director, Chad Abbott. We don't want to say anything about what they're doing with the new wrapping of Studio A, but we're going to do a video unveil. We're going to broadcast live the first segment, not just over FM 100.3 The Fan and streaming and all that. We're going to put it on. We're going to have video. How do I say that? We're going to
streaming it, yeah. It'll be live on KFAN's social channels or KFAN.com/watch.
And you're going to see our rewrap. And I'll tell you what, they're working awfully fast. And I think they heard you say that, these contractors will tell you now it usually takes a little longer. I think Tennessee, they've been...
I doubted them.
Well, not just you doubted, but I think you inspired them. It was like a challenge. You challenged them, and they said, oh, that's what you think, Mr. Bridge producer guy. Well, look at us now. So we'll do that unveiling during 5:34 at the top of the hour. We talked about...
What's even impressive with it is it's an actual brick wall. I mean, they are building this brick by brick right now.
I didn't want you to do the bit. I didn't. That's why I said we're going to unveil it. We didn't want to tell people. Now you just told them what it is. Plus, I was going to do the bit about how quickly they were able to put that brick wall up. But you.
Sorry.
Yeah, I would have thought. I thought I led you to when I said we're going to do a special unveiling at 1:00. We're going to let everybody see what it is. Now they're not going to want to watch. So, but that's okay.
I'm sure they're devastated.
Well, I know, but still, it's the bit. It's like, well, you know what? It's like I've got 40 years experience in the radio business. I understand how it works. Wild. We'll start at 9:00 tonight. Wild at 10. First puck will probably drop about 10:15 or so. We talked yesterday about game 1 and what would the Wild have to do different in game 2 to make a different outcome. And the obvious answer is they need to put the puck in the net more times than the opposition does. You have to score more goals. But as we talked about, the Wild lost 4-2, basically 3-2. It was an empty netter at the buzzer. So it was a close game throughout. But both goals were scored by Boldy, and Kaprizov got assists on them. It was basically the Boldy-Kaprizov show. And I don't think, you tell me, because you understand hockey better than I do, if we're going to rely on the first line for all of our scoring, we could be in some trouble, right? I mean, they need to get some contributions elsewhere. Defensively, I don't think
why I didn't love their chances going into the series is because they probably aren't going to get too many contributions elsewhere, right? I mean, they're not built that way to get contributions elsewhere. So, I mean, in theory, yes, you want to have scoring come from everywhere, but They are not built that way at this current moment.
Well, what are the other guys collecting paychecks for? They've scored some goals.
Our team has $14 million less in paychecks than other teams in the league. So,
well, they've scored.
That's half the problem.
Well, the first line hasn't scored all of our goals this year, has it? I mean, are the other?
No, clearly they're not going to score 100% of your team's goals.
Right.
But I'm just saying, I would love to be proven wrong. I would love for the third and fourth line. Obviously, Hines called them out a little bit after game one and said that, if there was one area where we didn't get enough from, it was from our bottom six guys, and I imagine they might make some changes with the lineup tonight in that regard. Maybe get Vinny Hinostroza off. He was a healthy scratch in game one. Maybe he plays. Someone else gets sent down. Maybe you have some line shuffling. It sounds like Ryan Hartman might get elevated in the lineup tonight. But it is what it is. Like, our third and fourth lines are not as good as Vegas's third and fourth lines. So, and it shouldn't be a surprise if they're, our fourth line specifically with Trenyan and Brazeau, who they got in a trade before the trade deadline. Like, that's not a great fourth line.
And so, basically, you're telling me it's over. I don't need to stay up tonight, because if we're only going to get contributions to the first line, I think you're right. Then we have no. It's going to be hard to even win a game, isn't it? Or
Vegas has more depth. There's no doubt about that. So you do need your top guys to score, which at least in game one they got 2 of the goals, and you are going to probably need to keep games to be low scoring, right?
So, it's a lack. It's not a lack of effort. It's just a lack of talent. We don't have the talent.
The effort was great in game one. That's why I find it a little amusing, as there was a lot of Wild fans and members of the media after game one. Hey, I kind of like the way they played, and I would agree with that. The problem is if you like the way they played and they still lost, that's not a great sign moving forward in the series. Because they could play great again and still not win just because they're not as talented as deep as the other team.
Meanwhile,
sorry to wet blanket this for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping you'd say, we can build this thing together, standing strong forever. But I guess
I think they got to win 2-1, 3-2 games.
Yeah.
Which is possible.
Let me ask you a question. What if we get out to a 2-0 lead tonight?
I think it's best if we just keep it scoreless for as long as possible.
2-0 is not good either, because it's the most dangerous lead in hockey. If we could get ahead 1-0 and keep it that way for a while, I think that would be.
You don't want to be up. You don't want to be up 2.
On the other side of the coin, the basketball community very excited about their Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that nationally, I think everybody thinks are a good club, but when they looked at the matchup between LeBron, Doncic, Reeves, and the rest, even though, I think Rosen was correct, they have the Wolves have a deeper lineup than, a bench. They have a bench they can rely on, at least in that first game, more than LA can rely on their bench. But you couldn't have asked it to go much better for the Wolves in that game. I mean, after a slow start when Doncic was on a roll early, what do you have, 12, 14, 16 points early in the game? I mean, he couldn't miss a shot, and they were getting second chance points. We were standing around like we're in wet cement, and I'm thinking to myself, you might want to, box out. It's kind of a basic part of the game. And then all of a sudden the Wolves took command, and I don't remember what they outscored them. Was it 30-something to 14 or whatever? I mean, they just destroyed them in the second quarter. Had a big halftime lead, and Doncic has to hit a 3-quarter or half-court shot off the backboard just to cut it to what it was, 12 or 13 at that point, and they just picked up where they left off in the second half, and they totally dominated. I mean, it was a laugher. They shot 21 of 42 from the floor. Or from 3-point range. That's going to be hard to duplicate, I think. But, time will only tell. And if the Lakers, they said all the right things in the post game, right? They said, well, we got to be more physical. They got to the balls better than we did. They outworked us. We didn't think it was going to be that physical. We're going to change that in game 2. Easy to say, but whether they can do it or not, I don't know. But if you could replicate, if the Wolves could replicate for the rest of the playoffs what they did on the first game, they'll be in the NBA Finals, I believe. It would be hard for me. Now, again, they've got some tough competition. I think Golden State's a sleeper. The Clippers had their win last night. And it's really, it just seems right now that I know we had that great comeback against Oklahoma City, but they just seem to be the odds-on favorite to get out of the West. But that, if the Wolves can do what they did tonight, what they did against the Lakers, they're coming back with a 2-game-to-none lead, I think.
Well, it's always interesting, playoff series, right? When the Wild lose game one, your first thought is, what changes do they need to make? Do they make some lineup changes? Do they change some of their strategy? Whereas whenever your team wins game one, like the Wolves did, and you did it in convincing fashion, and there's really, right? I mean, where do you poke holes in the Wolves' performance in game one, right? You can maybe say, Rudy Gobert didn't produce for you offensively. Other than that, like, Anthony Edwards was great, and he spread the ball around. And you could say, hey, what are the odds of them shooting that number from 3-point land again? Well, they don't need to shoot that number and still win, right? I mean, they were so far ahead and so dominant. They don't need to shoot at that number. And two, like, you can still have other guys who didn't shoot that number and still step up, right? Like Anthony Edwards is capable of scoring more points than he scored in game one. Rudy Gobert might be able to contribute. Maybe they can go to him a little bit offensively down low and get him a couple more free slam dunks. I'd like to think because of that 3-point shooting, the Lakers are now going to have to change the way they defended. And now that's probably going to open up some stuff, for some easier baskets and some 2-point baskets, like guys like Rudy. Like I bet they're going to get very little attention to Rudy Gobert in the offensive end tonight. Yeah. Right. So they're going. So the Wolves, you're going to approach it as if, hey, we don't need to make any changes. Just play the same way we did. It's going to be more so. What's LA going to do to try to counteract that? And do we need to make adjustments to that, or might it not matter?
Did you? I wasn't even listening. I was waiting for my turn to talk. Did you say this just now, or did you talk about this yesterday, or did I hear it from somebody else? Because I think it's a really good point that, when Reed and maybe it was JG that was telling me. That was JG. We talked a little bit between shows. When Naz Reed and McDaniel play like they do offensively, we win a lot of games. Because now you have Edwards doing what he does, and for him, I mean, 22 points is a lot of points. That's almost seems like a quiet night for him, right? And then you add,
but he wasn't like missing shots.
No. Yeah. But I'm just saying that if you would have told me that he scored 22 points, I'd have said, boy, they must have been in a nail biter, maybe even lost.
Sure.
Yet instead, they won in a laugher. And then when Julius Randle, he'll get his fair share of points, and so will others. But when Reed and McDaniel score like they do, the Wolves generally win. They and if they're called upon to do that again, they've done it numerous times, not even throughout this season, but throughout their career. But that could be a difference if all of a sudden they're not hitting them like they were the other night. That could change the complexion of the game as well.
Well, Jaden's the one that you never really know what to expect from a scoring standpoint, right? I mean, Naz Reed, I think, is pretty consistent. That you leave him open for threes, he can score. Jaden McDaniels has been the guy we saw in the playoffs last year, where he'd go games where he's scoring 4 or 6 points in a game. And still effective. He can be effective in spite of not scoring. But he's the guy that, I don't think you can count on him continuously to be scoring 20-plus points for you.
I think you're right. Here's the other thing that this is the esoteric approach. Do we really want to sweep LA? Do we want the rest, or would there be rust waiting for the winner of the Houston? Because do we get the winner of, or does it matter?
Yes.
So we get the winner. No
I had a caller yesterday that tried to act like we were wrong and that they reseed it. And then I looked it up, and they do not reseed. Okay. So they're already stuck on that side of the bracket. So I actually think they kind of got a favorable bracket out of all the, to want to get the Lakers first round, and then
what if we sweep them?
Yep.
And then we're rusty, and then let's say it is, and I do believe it will be Golden State. Let's say they play a 7-game series, but they might be a little tuckered. But Genevieve, they've just continued to play. Do you think rust or rest would be the recipe for the
I'll always take rest, and especially given the team that you're talking about has, 3 guys that are over 35 years old, so play as many games as you can with those guys.
Yeah, and they did say that. It was funny during the post-game stuff. Butler was talking about how, they got the guys that are long in the tooth on the team, and they do. I mean, but it's interesting where they try to find places to give them breathers at specific times, but it's something you got to manage, because as much as I literally despise the idea that, we're tuckered, it's been a long game, I do think for me, if a player is giving it, the 100% effort during a basketball game, a playoff game. In an individual game, I think you can expend a lot of energy and be tired late in the game. Maybe the legs are a little rubbery. But the idea that, you're playing back-to-back games, or here in the playoffs now, there should never be that excuse for, there's usually 2 or 3 nights between every single game they play. I mean, they played Saturday, now we're playing Tuesday. That's 2 nights off. When is the game 3 scheduled for? Do you know?
I think it's Friday again.
So Friday?
Yeah, I think it's another 2 days in between.
Another 2 days in between. So the idea that you're going to get, it's a long play. I get it. If you get to the NBA Finals, you got to win 16 games, and then there's losses mixed in there. Heck, you're playing probably close to another third of a season, right? Especially if you are going a lot of long 6 or 7 game series.
I'm trying to remember last year when the Wolves swept the Suns. Was that played right away? Did Denver just take care of their opponents in the first round right away too, or did we have some rest in between there? I don't remember.
I don't recall. But, if you win all 16 games and win the title, and then, let's say each series was rather lengthy, went 5 games, 6 or 7 games, you're playing the equivalent of another, that's like maybe another 25 or more games that you're playing. It's like almost a quarter of a season. So, but when you have that many games, that many nights between games, I certainly don't want to hear that. Well, we're really tired at this time of the year. Everybody's tired, Tennessee.
We're already talking sweep after 1 game.
I am. I'm excited about this club. I can't wait to get Rosie going.
Who's more likely to sweep? Why am I saying that again?
I don't know.
Who's more likely to sweep? Wolves or Vegas Golden Knights?
Who's more likely to sleep tonight during the game? You
Not
or
me.
See,
well, you.
I could doze off very easily during the game tonight.
No doubt about that. There's no chance you. I think over under in the amount of time you watch of that Wild game tonight. I'm going to say 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. We know what the countdown is for the NFL draft to start. What's the countdown for the Wild game tonight?
9 hours, 23 minutes and 17 seconds, if my math is correct.
Trust me. I'll be on the edge of my seat that entire 9 hours. I can't wait. I've been waiting all day for Tuesday night. I can make it.
I guess we'll find out rest. I'm going to have neither rest, and I will have rust for the golf round tomorrow.
Now, remember, we got to be to work at noon, so let's try to pick up the pace a little bit out there. I mean, because
7:30 tea time is kind of a little short.
You're going to be blocking some shots into the. I selected loggers though because it's wide open and you'll be able to. You shouldn't lose too many golf balls there. I mean, the fairways are as wide as the state of Montana, so we'll see how that goes. I guess to answer your question, I would think, boy, I'm going to get zapped with the negatrometer either way I go. I would think there's a better chance that the Wild gets swept than you know what? I think neither team is going to. I think if anybody does the sweeping, it's going to be us, and I think we're going to come back and win 4 games and win 4 games to 1 against the. I would think that if and that's why I brought it up. It goes to show you I got a great hockey mind. The Wild's first line was the only line that scored. And I said they're going to have to get some contributions from the lines 2 and 3 for sure if they're going to be. And, I don't think they got a lot of threats offensively from any of their defensive men either. And I said it's going to be hard to win. And then you basically told me, well, yeah, that's why you picked Vegas, because our second, third, and fourth lines aren't very deep. And so that's why if you're going to ask me which team has a greater chance of sweeping the Wolves, sweeping the Lakers, or the Golden Knights, or the Wild, I'd say from what I saw the other night, it's probably going to be like you say, it's got to be low-scoring games. It has to be, because I don't know if we're going to get any offense from the other lines. So, yeah, I'm not very encouraged, I guess is what I'm trying to say going into I mean, it was close. It was 3-2.
Yeah.
I don't count the...
And they played right with them. Yeah. They weren't... they weren't as overwhelmed as much as the Lakers were in game 1.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I will just go to bed early tonight. Because I figure like the Wild are going to lose and the Wolves are going to run the Lakers out of the building again. So what am I missing? I already know the outcome. If you already know the outcome of a sporting event, for instance, you, Tennessee, you don't like to know the final of a game ahead of time. I tease you about it all the time. You know, like if you can't watch a game, you'll DVR it. You won't look at social. You won't want to know. I can already tell you what the outcomes are going to be tonight. Wild are going to lose and Wolves are going to win. Now that you know, why don't you just go to bed early and be ready and refreshed for your round of golf tomorrow?
I think actually I might just watch some Gilligan's Island tonight.
Yeah, I might do that too. Okay, let's do this. Let's pause. I don't know if I'm going to get back in Studio A or not. We were hoping to do our unveiling of our new studio. We've had it rewrapped, as they like to say. We'll do that sometime during the next hour. Other side of the break, though, it's going to be 5-3-4. What you got?
Should the Vikings trade down?